It's time to show you guys how to animate in DaVinci Resolve. I have many years of experience and wisdom to share with you, and I can't wait to jump right into it. From basic animating and keyframing to looping keyframes, bouncing effects, graphics, and text animation. I'm spewing out so much knowledge in this video. It's a long one. My name's Dan, you're watching DanVinci, and let's jump into it. So the way that this video is going to be structured is quite simple. I'm going to chapter this out, with each chapter becoming more and more complex as we move along. So if you already know the basics, you might want to skip chapters 1 and 2. But if you're here for the ride and you want to learn absolutely everything that this video has to offer, then watch it all the way through. I will not let you down. Trust me. Now, chapter 1 is basic keyframing. Now, this first chapter is going to be split into 2 parts. The first part will be me covering off the edit page, and the second half will be me covering off the fusion page, as there are 2 different ways that you can keyframe.
There are 2 ways to deal with this problem.
So starting off with the edit page, let's say you have an object in your edit page, like I have right here, and I have my logo, and I want to just move it left and right. So in the top right corner, in the inspector, you have your inspector controls. Really, all we're going to be interested in right now is the transform controls. So this is obviously your zoom and position for that object. So as long as we've got this selected, these little diamond shapes just here are your keyframes. And at the minute, they're grayed out. To apply a keyframe, you just click them and they'll go red. So I'm going to go to the beginning of the timeline on my object, and I'm going to go to position here and create a keyframe and move it on the x-axis and move it to the left on the right axis just here. And you'll notice I've created 2 keyframes, and you can skip between them using these arrows like so. Now that's slow, and there's ways that you can speed this up and customize your keyframes. So in the top left corner here, you'll have your keyframes button. If you click this, you'll open up your keyframes tab, and this is a visualization of your physical keyframes. So as you can see, the top one is our sort of category, so transform, and we have keyframes on the transform, and then below that is the specific category of the keyframe, so the X and the Y. Our Y position is up and down, and because we haven't moved the object up and down, it hasn't created a keyframe just here. So we can speed this up by moving the keyframes closer together, so there's less time in which it moves from left to right, so our object moves left and right quicker. Or alternatively, you can spread them further apart, and the object will move much slower. Part 2. And don't be afraid, we're going to jump into fusion. No. It's not that scary. It's not. Promise. Wait. I'm going to hold your hand the whole way. You won't get lost. So your workflow is different in fusion. So setting it up is different too. So let's go into our effects, and let's go into the search bar here and search fusion comp. Like that. Drag a fusion composition down, and it will just create this empty black nothingness. This is what we're going to apply our animation to. So when you're in Fusion on a new Fusion comp, you'll be greeted with a media out node, and that is it, literally. But what you can do is go into your media pool, and if you have any assets that you want to animate, well, you can access them here in your media pool. The media pool here is exactly the same as the media pool in the edit page, so it should be quite familiar for you. So drag down the object that you want to animate. In my case, again, it's my logo. I'm going to create a background node, and notice when I create a background node, if I've got the object selected, it automatically creates a merge node. That's exactly what I want. And then what I'm going to do is drag the output of that merge node to the media out. Now, at the minute, it's a square because our object is a square composition, so it's defaulting to that object being the actual fusion composition. But if you go back into the edit page, our actual project is 16 by 9. So the easiest way you can fix this is just go to your merge and change the input. So you can either right click and click swap inputs, or you can click Control T. Now the reason this is changed to 16:9 is because our background node by default matches the timeline settings that the Fusion comp is in. Then from here, you can either use the merge node to animate your object in the inspector. That's a really nice, easy way of doing it. Or you can create a transform node by clicking this icon here, or Control Space and search transform and apply it that way. Either way is absolutely fine.
Look, it's fine, man.
Now, once you've created your transform node, it is very similar to what we just covered off in the edit page. You go up to your inspector and you have your controls for that transform node right there. And what you can do is obviously move along your timeline to 0, for example, create a keyframe on center, go along in your timeline and move your object. This transform node and this logic that I covered in the edit page can be applied to any object that you add into DaVinci Resolve. So this could be images, this could be lower thirds, this could be logos, it could be video too. If you're familiar with the magic mask, it could be cut out video that you're moving around for whatever reason. I don't know what you're doing. You could be doing anything.
You could be doing anything else.
Now, chapter 2 is the next level up from this, and that's easing in and out your objects, effectively customizing the keyframes in which you've created, making your animation skills go from this to this. This is far more natural and realistic looking. So when you're in the edit page, this is how you do it. Click on this icon here and it opens up your spline. You just click on the objects that you want to show. So at the minute we have our transform. So we click on transform, it'll open up our transform keyframes in the spline. And that logic can be applied to other things as well. So this is now a visualization in graph form of our keyframes. And the benefit of this is that we can ease in and ease out our keyframes.
That's easy.
So at the minute it's linear, it's very straight and very abrupt when it stops. So if we click on our keyframes here and we click this icon here, we can ease our keyframes in and out, like so. Look at that. So it starts off slow and speeds up and rapidly slows down again. And what you can do is grab these little bars here. I like to call them control rods, and you can bring them right the way in for an abrupt sort of linear style, or you can spread them right the way out. And you can do the same down here as well. Feel free to move these around and move your keyframes into whatever shape you like, and just experiment, because that's the best way you're going to learn, is just by doing this kind of thing. And the way that I learned this is obviously watching videos like you are now, but also just experimenting and trying things out for yourself.
You got this. You can do it. I believe in you.
And there you go. That is basic animation in DaVinci Resolve in the edit page. So in Fusion, when it comes to easing in and out your keyframes, you want to open the spline tab. And the spline tab is right here in the top right corner, just here. So this is your spline right here. And if you're not seeing anything, just make sure that your transform node that you've got selected is actually on. And then go over here and zoom out your graph so you can actually see your keyframes right here. And what you want to do is select your keyframes like this. You can click this icon here and it'll create an ease in and an ease out. Click T, you can drag your keyframe rods using numerical controls just here, but you can obviously do it manually. I recommend doing it this way, but you can do it however you want. If you want a custom animation like this, woo, like that, then you can do that. Duplicating and looping your keyframes. Now this is fundamental. If you don't know this, then this is going to save you a hell of a lot of time when you're keyframing. So you know when you want to keyframe something over and over again, so it's doing the same thing over and over again, well, you can copy and paste keyframes and duplicate them indefinitely if you wanted to. Here's how you do it. So I have this hoverboard here and I want to animate it hovering. I currently have 3 keyframes that I've created. So if I open the spline in the top right corner, you'll see my keyframes that I've created. They're just eased in and out, up and down, literally down and then back up again to its original spot, right? That simple. But what we can do here in the spline is we can highlight these keyframes, right click, go to duplicate, set loop or set pre-loop. These are really, really cool tools that are really, really handy. And a lot of people don't really realize they're there. They're sort of hidden. You have to right click. So what we can do is we can duplicate this, for example, and on each set we have the same options here. So let's say I want to duplicate and ping pong my keyframes. Basically what that means is it's going to mirror the keyframes back and forth. And from here you can set how many you want. So I don't know, let's do 5 times. And as you can see, it's mirrored and then mirrored again our keyframes. If we play that now, it's done a fantastic job and I haven't needed to keyframe anymore. Brilliant. Let's say you want these keyframes to just go on infinitely. How do I do that? Well, I'm going to show you. So what we can do is right click, go to set loop and then go to ping pong. And then you can right click again and then set pre-loop, ping pong again. And it will just ping pong indefinitely in all directions, which is fantastic. Then if you go back onto your edit page and stretch out this Fusion comp as much as you like, always hovering. And that is so simple. And now for a word from today's video sponsor, Audiio. Audiio are the perfect sponsor for today's video, simply because with animating any piece of footage, you're going to need sound effects and music, especially if you want to enhance your content. And Audio's catalogue of sound and music is absolutely top tier. Their recent release of Hands 2, their AI chatbot, makes it far easier to find the perfect track for your work. So I'm here using Hands 2.0 and I'm going to find right now the exact music I'm going to use for this ad in the background. And just like that, from a simple prompt, I have 6 hand-selected songs for this exact ad. All this comes along with an amazing deal if you use the code DanVinci. This gets you 70% off their 1-year Pro Audio subscription, bringing the price down from $199 down to just $59. Take it from me, guys, Audio is absolutely awesome and their website is clean as anything. Easy to navigate, high quality music. What else do you need? I'm going to be covering off how to create this sort of bouncing look using the spline in DaVinci Resolve Fusion. Now I've got this rotating logo animation so far, and all it is at the minute on the transform node is keyframes on the size and the angle. And as you can see on the graph, it is very linear currently. But how do we add that bounce or elasticated look? English. Elasticated. Dan, put on screen if that's a word.
Elasticated.
Little old dyslexia me. So I'm going to move along my keyframes, maybe about here. And I'm going to rotate my object in the same direction in which it was moving. We don't want the graph to move that way. We want it to move further. Something like that. There we go. And I'm going to go into the keyframes tab just here, and I'm going to zoom in on my keyframes, and I'm going to grab that keyframe and just move it a bit further, just so that the angle of that keyframe is similar to the angle of this line just here. And then I'm going to move along the timeline just like this and rotate my object back. So it's a little bit further beyond 0, something like this. And then I'm going to move along my keyframes even further like this, move my logo so it's almost close to 0 like that, and then move even further and then put my object on 0 right there. Then I'm going to close my keyframes just here. I'm going to grab my keyframes that I've just created, click S on my keyboard to create that ease in and ease out look. It's effectively just clicking that button just there. And then let's take a look at what we've created. Now that's great. And notice what I've done here is each keyframe is further and further apart. This matches real life sort of kinetic motion, if that's the right word. All the scientists out there will probably be yelling at me in the comments.
Wrong. That is not correct.
When an object bounces, it's reducing its energy bit by bit. And that's what these keyframes sort of mimic. If I zoom my graph in further, you can see this more in action just here. And I'm going to smooth this out just a bit more. If you're really struggling with this, because I can understand why you'd find it hard, try and aim for your keyframes with a bounce effect to look something like this. Now, chapter 5 is text animation. I know a lot of you are going to be wanting to know how to animate your text in DaVinci Resolve, and I'd recommend again using Fusion. But don't worry, I've got you. You're not going to get lost. So again, I've created a new Fusion composition, and I'm going to jump into Fusion on our Fusion composition. Again, I've got my media out, but this time I'm going to drag down a text node just like this. And I'm going to attach this into a background node to create a tree like this. I'm going to change the inputs by right-clicking and clicking swap inputs. And I'm going to just type in DanVinci. Now there are several different ways that you can animate text, but here's some of the fundamentals that you need to know. So go up into your top right corner in the inspector where you've typed in your text in the text style box. When you right click, you'll be greeted with various different options. Today we're going to click on follower, but you can change the text into a text Scrabble, for example, text timer, or you can just manually animate your text. But when you click one of these options, it opens up the modifier tab in the top right corner of your inspector. So the first step is we want to set a delay. So let's do 3 and let's go into our shading just here. And we want to make sure we're on keyframe 0 and we want to create a keyframe on the opacity. And we want to scroll down to position here, go to offset X and Y, click this keyframe just here, and it will jump you out of your follower 1. That's absolutely fine. Don't worry. It's actually quite handy. And we want to also make sure this displacement has a keyframe too. It should automatically, hopefully. If it doesn't, just create one. So let's go back into our follower 1, go down to our timeline, move it to 60 on frame 60, staying on frame 0. So let's move the offset Y down like so, just like this. I'm also going to move the opacity down to 0 on keyframe 0. And then I'm going to move to keyframe 60 like so, increase the opacity and also move the offset back to its original settings, which is 0. And that should have us a nice basic text animation. If you want to customize this further, what you can do is go into the spline, select your keyframes, select the ease in and ease out, click T on your keyboard to customize the ease in and the ease out. And there you go, you have a very simple text animation. Connecting keyframed objects. What on earth does that actually mean? So here's a perfect example of being able to connect two different keyframed objects. I have a keyframe circle above going from left and right. So this circle at the top that's moving is this part of the tree, and this circle here is this part of the tree. This object has keyframes on the transform. This object here has no keyframes on the transform. But what I can do here is I can click on my transform, go up into the inspector, go to center, right click, go down to connect to, path 1, position, and this is the position for the transform node that has keyframes. And instantly it will snap and copy the center information that was applied to this above circle. So here's my graph template that I created over for the GeekWhat channel on a much larger scale, showing you from a professional standpoint where this comes in so handy. But let's say I want to get rid of a set of data points. on our graph, you can open up the inspector, reduce this blend, and it gets rid of multiple objects because multiple objects are connected to this blend keyframe. And I can do that again here and here. And what's really cool is I can select dot 9, which is this dot right here, and move this object on its offset to where I want it. And not only does the dot move, but so does the cache and this information just down here if you didn't see it. So if I move this to wherever I want, so let's just move it over here and click play, that animation hasn't broken. Okay, so enough with examples. Let's show you how to utilize connecting different keyframed objects. And I'm going to show you how to create this simple highlight animation using connected keyframe objects. So I've got this shot here, just a shaky cam shot of IKEA, the wonderful everyday. This video is not sponsored by the furniture company, although if the Swedish furniture company would like to sponsor me, that would be fantastic. Now, if you've got a grade applied to the shot that you've made, I'd recommend you right click and click New Fusion Clip to turn this into a Fusion Clip. Now let's jump into Fusion on the Fusion Clip. Now from here, what I'm going to do first is just quickly create a transform node because I've messed up and my aspect ratios are all wrong, so I've got a gap here, so I'm just going to fill that in. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a tracker. Control space and search tracker. Now, if you've done any tracking in DaVinci Resolve, you might be familiar with this. Cool, and it's going to create something called an IntelliTracker. Then you can just drag this over to the object in which you want to track. So in my case, I want to track right in the middle of this logo here because I want the center point to be sort of there. I don't want to track the E because the circle in which I'm going to create later will be off center and more towards the E if I put the tracker on the E. So I'm just going to go here, E. If we've got the tracker selected in the inspector, we'll see this right here. And all we need to do is click these two arrows to track backwards and forwards. Let that do its thing and wait. Depending on your computer, this might take a while if you've got a rubbish computer, or if you've got a super duper fast, speedy computer, it'll be done in no time. So now that that's created, I'm going to show you how we create that circle animation that you saw just a moment ago. So what we want to do now is forget the tracker. We can even remove it from the node tree and leave it over there. Goodbye. I'm so mean. And then what we're going to do is create a copy. So Control C on my Fusion Clip, Control V, create a copy of my Fusion Clip. And I'm going to grab the output of this second Fusion Clip and drag it to the output of the first Fusion Clip. Now this will create a merge node, and this is exactly what we want. Then we're going to click on the Fusion Clip, go over to the ellipse tool right here, click that, and it will automatically snap it on. If it's not snapped on, just connect the output to the blue triangle on the Fusion Clip. Then what we want to do, simply go into the inspector on the ellipse, and we want to go to center right here, right click, go down to connect to, tracker IntelliPath, position, and it will snap right into place where that tracker was. Then what we can do is just adjust the size, so something like this. So I'm going to make this ellipse more of an oval shape. Then what we can do is create a transform node on this Fusion clip, like so. There we go. Go to the pivot right here, right click, go to connect to, tracker 1, path 1, connect, and that pivot point has snapped into place in the same place as the tracker. So now we can animate this branch of the tree. So let's go on the transform node, and I'm happy with it starting to expand around here. So let's go to size and center, and I'm going to move along my timeline, and then I'm going to increase the size of this IKEA logo just here, and then I'm going to move it over to one side, just there, like that. Now we've got a basic highlight animation. So what we can do now is we can grab this ellipse, Control C, Control V, and make another copy. And what I want to do is I want to drag this down just here, and I want to create a background node, which is this icon just here, and I want to connect this to the background. I'm going to attach this to my Fusion Clip output, and you may notice this goes black. That's absolutely fine. We're going to sort this out.
We need to sort this out.
If we go on the ellipse here and go to solid, turn this off in the inspector, go to border width and increase this just like so. We now have a nice outline. Then I can go to the background, and you can just change this to whatever color you want. So I'm going to make this nice and white. I like that. And just to polish things off, I'm just going to do Control space and search drop shadow. Now, at the minute, that circle's always there, so let's sort that out. So at the moment, the animation starts, about here. So it's frame 149 for me. And I'm going to grab the ellipse with the stroke on it. I'm going to go to cap style, click this one just here, and then I'm going to go to the length and bring it all the way down and make a quick keyframe, and then drag along my timeline to wherever I like, probably about here, and then bring the length all the way up to 100%. Now, let's also do the drop shadow. Going back to frame 149, I'm going to go to drop shadow, and I'm just going to make sure that the blend is on 0. That way you can't see it when it's not there. Then I'm going to drag along my timeline and just put it back to 100%. And then just go into the spline for the finishing touches. I'm going to highlight these keyframes, making sure not to select the tracking data that we have just here. And then I'm just going to click S on my keyboard to add the ease in and ease out. And then just make some minor changes by clicking T and bringing up the ease in and ease out controls. But you can see why connecting keyframed objects to one another is really valuable. And if you didn't know, now you know.
Thanks for that, by the way.
But yeah, that's the end of the video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys have learned something new about animating in DaVinci Resolve. Please do get subscribed. This channel is growing all the time and I'm always pumping out brand new content. And I'm going to be covering off all the new features in DaVinci Resolve 21, the new recent release. So yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.